do two housekeeping items. First, I'm going to tell a joke. It's about a time there was a gal who was invited to a conference to talk about finding your voice, who lost her voice the day before she spoke. So bear with me. Just let's pretend I'm a smoky lounge singer. It's really cool. I'm also going to make eye contact with my timer because I talk a lot. So I just want to make sure I'm on time. I did want to chat with you. I thought when I was preparing for this presentation, I thought I'd share my story, or I'd share one of the many stories that we've collected through the New York City Bar Association. But it's Saturday morning, and my attention span is done. So I wanted to introduce myself to you, but then I just wanted to share my aha moment that came through somebody else's story that was a lot more resounding for me and I thought might resonate with you. Yes, I am Gabrielle Brown. I'm the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at the New York City Bar Association. We're an organization of 24,000 lawyers in and around the New York area. We have more than 160 committees in the City Bar that focus on every practice area imaginable. And we have a robust diversity and inclusion effort. We work with more than 150 law firms, and we have pipeline programs for high school, college, and law students. Also me, I'm the youngest of 4 children, mixed race household, voracious college basketball fan, and I listen to music all the time. Music turned on as soon as I wake up in the morning, and it is the last thing that goes off in my house when I go to bed at night. So I'm a person, I'm a human in this world. And so the story that I wanted to share with you today, really stuck with me because it fell outside of the scope of being a lawyer is hard and being a law student is really competitive. And the profession has all these odds stacked against you, but really empowered me. So how many of you have seen The Daily Show? How many of you know who Wyatt Cenac is? Wyatt Cenac, at the time, was the only black writer for The Daily Show. Jon Stewart, really liberal, great. Wyatt Cenac was on a podcast talking about his career, and he told the story about a time when he got into an argument with Jon Stewart because he challenged an accent that Jon Stewart was going to make on the show. And the story goes that their argument escalated to the point that Jon Stewart slammed his hands down on the table, said F this, and stormed out of the room. And Wyatt Cenac did what every person would do in that scenario. He left, assumed he got fired, went outside and cried. He told this story on this podcast. It was really powerful, but the internet went insane. The internet was like, how dare you call Jon Stewart racist? He's the most liberal person ever. This is totally inappropriate. And Wyatt Cenac had the most beautiful response I've ever heard, and it sticks with me every single day. He said, wow, thanks. The story had nothing to do with Jon Stewart except that he was in it. That story was me telling you the experience of what it's like to be the only black person at the table, championing for something that I believe in. So social science has proven that when there's one person in the room, when you're the only person in the room, you may be likely to speak up for an issue that you believe in, right? But social science has also proven you need more people to feel validated in that point. 1, you can say it out loud. 2 or 3, you feel validated in it. You need even more to execute it into action, and you need even more than that if it's an issue that's charged, so racially motivated or gender motivated. Why am I telling you that? You're like, this has nothing to do with law school, right? Not true. I work in the New York City Bar Association. We collect and analyze the data of all these law firms. We're still sitting at 76% of partners in law firms are white men. So there's a very good chance that you're going to be the only person in the room in your career. There have been many painful points of my career where I was the only person in the room. Many. At one point, it was a point of frustration. It's now a point of pride. I take that seat, and I sit right in it, and I'm like, you're right, I am the only whatever, and I own it. That was not an easy process to get to. It was really messy. It took a lot of humility. It took a lot of feedback. It took a lot of trial and error. So I did all the dirty work for you, and I wanted to come in today, keep that story in your brain, and give you 5 tips for walking away as you embark on this career, being the only in the room often. And I wrote them down because, like everyone in this profession, I had a million. I started with like 25 things you needed to know, and thankfully my office coordinator was like, let's try to pare that down. So 5 tips, and I hope you take them. I hope some of them resonate with you. All 5 might not work for you. I'd really love your personal stories. I think we don't have time to take questions, but as you think about how these fit with you, feel free to reach out to me and the City Bar as a resource at any time with them. The first is be authentic. When I was the only one in the room, I was like, I got a voice. I can't wait to use Jean. She's a great leader. I can't wait to be exactly like this woman who's the general counsel of an organization. I didn't know that I had one shot and it was just mine. I didn't know how to be me. I was told in a meeting once, I was pulled aside right after a meeting, and this gentleman said, I just want to give you a piece of advice because nobody else is going to. And I was like, you're so nice, thank you so much. And he said, your shoes are really unprofessional. I was wearing green suede shoes, and he was like, people will take you more seriously if you dress like everyone else in the room. And I was like, oh, thanks for your feedback. That is not true at all. And I've made it a point in my career now to always wear a wild shoe when I'm presenting because that matters to me. I love that. I get excited when I put it on. And I do not want to be squashed by this idea that I'm only relevant or I only have the expertise that you're going to listen to if I'm wearing a black or blue pump, right? 2, be humble. Sit down. Be humble. You have this voice, and it's going to be really exciting when you get opportunities to use it. One of my favorite phrases is, I'm not going to die on this hill. When I say that, it means I am going to die on this hill. I want to argue this point all the way. It is hard to know when your silence is your strength, but it will be at multiple times in your career. So just because you have a voice doesn't mean you always have to use it. You have to know when to be quietly powerful. 3, and this is the most important. If you don't write down anything else I say, write this down right now. Be excellent. Excellence is the best antidote to implicit bias. You are well positioned now to develop skills that will carry you through the rest of your career. Please treat that as the gift that it is and not another obligation or the many demands on your time. Focus extensively, all the time, every day, do something to develop your professional skills. Find a mentor. Join a bar association so that you're exposed to what this looks like in other people. Join leadership development opportunities and look at the guy to your right and the guy to your left. Be like, dang, he's going to do a lot better than me unless I step it up. 4, be courageous. This one's tough. The skills that make great leaders are often unlikable in women and minorities, and that is the truth. The second we get assertive, the second we get pushy, bossy, we're going to stand up for this point. That scares people. They get really uncomfortable, right? You got to decide when you want to be a great leader and when you want to be liked, and there's a line in the sand. You pick which one you do all the time. And sometimes I know this. A lot of people don't like going into certain interactions with me because I don't want to be liked when we walk out of it. I want to win. I want to get my point across. And I want you to feel a little bruised and damaged in that process. Because I'm the youngest of 4. I'm scrappy. And then 5, be patient. So I'm the daughter of a marathoner. Father's a big runner. How many of you are marathoners? How many of you run at all? How many of you will run for the bus? You're like another one. It is impossible to wake up in the morning and decide you're going to run 26.2 miles in running. My dad has been running marathons for many, many years, and he still can't. It takes a long process, and every single habit in your life has to change. You have to eat differently, sleep differently. You have to flex a lot of things to get to this ultimate goal, and your desire to reach the upper echelons of our profession is exactly like that. So consider it a marathon. Today's your first 3-mile run. You got up in the morning earlier than me, came out here. I had trouble finding it as well. It's your first 3-mile run, great, but you got to do this again tomorrow, and you got to do it again Wednesday, and you got to do it again Saturday, and then next week you got to go from 3 to 6 miles. Be patient, change habits, get feedback about this, and then also, there's a lot of us onlys in the room that did this path before you did that are so happy to answer your emails and take your phone calls and just be there for support when you are. We made it. We got a long road ahead of us, but I think we're making great progress. You guys are an excellent example of what the future looks like. I'm optimistic about it. So keep going. Make us proud. Thank you.